Time has come, my favorite part of the show, where I put Reggie on the hot seat covering all the latest hot topics in Minnesota sports, called What Does It Mean? Let's jump right into it. First up, Reggie, we called the Twins bats out yesterday on the show with Byron Buxton.
They must have heard us.
Yeah, they had in the lineup. They must have tuned in and listened, because they put up 8 runs against the Red Sox yesterday, helping them split the series 2-2. What does it mean for guys like Jorge Polanco, Kyle Garlick, who just got caught up, as the Twins try to make do with Buxton on the DL as they head to Kansas City for their series against the Royals tonight?
First of all, every dish, every good cook knows that every dish is just a little bit better with some garlic. Every dish.
I learned that the hard way a few years ago. You're right. You're right.
Just put a little garlic in there.
Anything and everything. Yes.
I mean, he starts off the game with the home run, like, see you later. I think what's cool is seeing guys have production who are not Carlos Correa, who are not Sanchez, and not Buxton. Like, those are the guys that were expected to kind of be the catalyst for this team offensively. And when you have the bats producing at a level like that, where you got Kepler, helping score runs, and Polanco 4 RBI, like, that's pretty inspiring. Like, that's pretty, encouraging for their efforts. And it's cool to see, but it's always about sustainability, right? Like, can they keep it going? And I think going into this series with the Royals, like, they're a team, like, it was tough seeing how the Twins started the season, because they started the season against some of who many, believe will be some of the best teams in baseball this year.
Right.
And it's like, now they're kind of coming down and playing some teams around their level who are, trying to figure it out just like them. And I think this series against the Royals kind of presents an opportunity against a divisional opponent to just kind of like flex a little bit. Kind of show, like, these bats are not a fluke. Like, we're going to come in and we're going to bring it night in and night out. And I expect them to be able to hit against the Royals as well, because there's a lot of questions with the Royals as far as their pitching staff. And it just kind of brings, Garlic is playing with house money right now. Like, just come in and rake. Do your, don't think about anything else. Just come in focused on base hits and, getting on base. Like, that's your goal. And it's like I said, when you don't have Correa and Buxton and Sanchez maybe doing the bulk of the load, and you can still get these other guys involved and they can still carry the team with the bats, like, I think that's very, very encouraging.
That schedule, man, relentless. Just unbelievable to start out the gate. Maybe the best thing to happen to him, because now, like you mentioned, again, things are going to start to come back down to even a little bit more when it comes to the talent that they're going to be playing. Let's stick with the Twins. They got a solid outing from Dylan Bundy getting into the 6th inning. He allowed just 1 run against the Red Sox. But overall, the pitching staff, we know it, from top to bottom, it's just been up and down, a little inconsistent. What does it mean? And what have you seen, Reggie, from the Twins pitching so far that had major questions heading into the season?
I think it means that we can keep a level of optimism.
I like that.
So Joe Ryan in his last start was phenomenal. 80 pitches, 62 of them, strikes, awesome. and it's like, he could have gone another inning. Especially considering that the bullpen came in and just kind of gave up all those runs after his, wonderful effort. But I think what you're seeing at the start of this rotation is guys like Joe Ryan, Dylan Bundy. Sucks that Sonny Gray, had to hit the injured list with that hamstring. But, then you add in a guy like Chris Archer with a lot to prove. These guys have a lot to prove. And I think it means that they are going to give their best effort night in and night out. And that could be a really good thing for the Twins. They signed these guys that, have had a little bit of rough times, over the last few seasons. And they're trying to kind of, reclaim their greatness in a way, if you will.
Yeah, a lot of prove it deals.
Yeah,
right? A lot of prove it. Yeah,
and they're proving it. I'm interested to see how Chris Archer looks in his second start. because what Dylan Bundy has showed is that he can be someone who can be an anchor in this starting rotation so far. It's really early, and so we don't want
Exactly.
to make any like conclusions
Right.
drawn from just two good outings, but they are encouraging outings from Bundy, and I would like to believe that Joe Ryan is going to continue to grow as a pitcher, and he's going to get a little bit longer of a leash as time goes on. And I think what is kind of considered a weakness, if you will, of this team could become a strength with some guys that are just trying to prove themselves.
Yeah, great point there because we have no choice. We got to take this day by day. So it's easy for us to have knee-jerk reactions, quick reactions after every game, but my gosh, Reggie, this is just such a long season, right? It's a marathon, not a sprint. It's easy for us to just have these quick reactions, jump to conclusions, as you said. But let's just, take a step back here, let the dust settle, give this team and ball club a few weeks to kind of find their footing and chemistry, and let this whole thing play out. Because again, like you mentioned, a lot of prove it kind of deals, and that doesn't mean there's not talent. There's some serious talent in this pitching staff.
Absolutely,
it's just who's going to shake out here at the bottom and become those 2 or 3 starters that you can depend on going into the second half of the season. All right, last one. What does it mean with Reggie on the hot seat? You knew I had to throw an NFL draft question your way. It's just 9 days away. We're getting closer and closer, and more experts now, Reggie, they're connecting some dots with LSU cornerback Derek Stingley, who we've talked about a lot on this show, and the Minnesota Vikings for a variety of reasons. However, after a great pro day and now his stock is rising, what does it mean for the Vikings if Stingley isn't even an option anymore with the 12th pick, as draft gurus like Mel Kiper and others saying he could now go in the top 10 picks?
Oh, yeah. You got some teams that are in the top 10 that have their quarterback already. And so they're just looking to bolster their team.
Jets at 10, Washington at 11. Yeah, there's a lot of them.
I think right there, one of those two teams, I think, is probably where Stingley probably goes. If he does,
it makes sense.
Not fall, but if he does come down and Minnesota's on the clock and he's still on the board, then you put the pick in yesterday.
Right.
You're
sprinting.
You're sprinting over. You're making the announcement of the pick for Roger Goodell.
Yeah, right.
Right. You're like, hey, Roger, excuse me, I'm gonna let you finish. Like real Kanye. I'm gonna let you finish, but this is the greatest draft pick of all time. So, but no, I think what's interesting is, and we've talked about this before on the show, but if Stingley is not there, don't reach for a guy. Take the best player available, or make yourself open for business, because it's like, look, if you can't get the guy that your heart desires, then trade back to a guy, to put yourself in position to take a guy that you are still pretty fond of, but that you can take, maybe at a lower pick, and maybe just get a little bit more draft capital for yourself, for your team. Like Kwesi made the comment of trying to build for the future and the present at the same time, which is just kind of confusing if you think about it.
Right.
But, that allows you, if you trade back, that allows you to be able to bolster the talent of the roster with some young guys. And help supplement a little bit of that.
Exactly. I'm a big draft guy. Trading back is always option A for me, because there's no sure thing in this draft. And also, especially in this draft class, you can find guys in round 2 and round 3. Eric Kendricks, round 2 linebacker, Pro Bowler. Daniil Hunter, 3rd rounder. Everson Griffin, how far you want to go back? I mean, you can find guys on day 2 and day 3. And I love moving back and just gaining more ammo. And when you got the 12th pick, it could be a prime spot, some serious real estate for a team like we've talked about on the show. The Steelers at 20, maybe moving up to get a quarterback. The Saints all of a sudden got 2 first-round picks. Maybe they want to package and move up. But Stingley would be tempting for sure, and some other guys like Kyle Hamilton. But the Vikings are now also rumored to be really fond of Trent McDuffie, the 3rd cornerback right behind Stingley from Washington, and they think they may be able to get him after moving down. So I just love the fact that they're discussing the real possibility of trading back, still getting a great player at the late teens or early 20s, and then gaining some more ammo. So lot to discuss.
Here's the thing too about the draft that is so interesting is like, it is such an inexact science, and teams do
Right.
what they have to do for the betterment of their team in the moment. And it's just so funny because we always have this like revisionist thing where we go back and we look at the draft and we're like, wow, this person was on the board and they passed
How
on,
did you guys
this
miss
team.
this?
It's
Yeah,
like, and
yeah.
it's like, come on, man. Like that's so like
Right.
low hanging fruit right there, because it's just like back like in the moment, we look at these players and we do our due diligence, we do our homework on these guys, and we try to make the best decision possible in the moment. But it's just like, you can, even the most can't miss guys sometimes in the draft have been a miss.
Absolutely.
And
Happens
it's just
all
like,
the time.
yeah,
Yep.
and it's just
Yep.
like, look, man, you can never, really truly get these things right sometimes. And it's just like, but I think what is right is not reaching for a player at 12 and just kind of letting the board come to you for best player available. And that's really the best thing that you can do in this draft, because like then that's when you look back and you're like, man, what did they do? They reached for that guy. That guy
Right.
really wasn't even all that high rated, and they
Right.
took him, kind of some of the stuff that the Raiders did under
Oh
Mike
my
Mayock.
gosh. Yep.
It was just
Yep.
like, dude, that guy wasn't even on anybody's first round board, and you just took him with the second pick. Like, what's going on? What are we
you
doing?
doing? Yeah.
But with the case of the Vikings, man, it's tough because they're gonna be, fans are gonna hold them accountable, and fans are gonna be critical of what they end up doing on draft night. But it's just so tough to predict some of these things. But I guess that's why they get paid the big bucks, to be able to scout and make these decisions that, hopefully work out best for their football team.
Another reason, you just basically laid it out, why you trade back, it puts less pressure when you have an early pick. I mean, any of these top 10, top 12 picks, they're expected to come in and not only just start, but these 20, 21-year-olds are expected to start and be really good. So
Yeah.
I think it just puts such an unfair expectation, especially on these young quarterbacks who I think should always sit for 1 year, their rookie year, and then come in and learn the speed and nuances of the game. But trading back, just another benefit, I think, of moving back, takes a little bit of pressure off the expectations, early expectations of that draft pick. Draft just 9 days away. Reggie's getting me all excited, hot and heavy over here. Next week, we're going to have a lot of NFL draft segments coming your way during draft week. All right, Reggie, you survived the gauntlet once again.